So many different times in my life, I've played with broken or hurt things, broken foot, broken leg, broken hand, broken arm, broken sternum, broken collarbone. I could keep going if I just thought more about bones. Why, man? Because I loved it. I loved playing the game. I was passionate about it. One of the reasons I even get encouraged at seeing all of you here. Do you know why I get encouraged by that? Is because you could be anywhere doing a lot of different things, but you chose to be here.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. In a world filled with endless opportunities, why would two men who have built 13 multi-million-dollar businesses altruistically invest 5 hours per day to teach you the best practice business systems and moves that you can use? Because they believe in you. And they have a lot of time on their hands. They started from the bottom, now they're here. It's the Thrivetime show starring the former U.S. Small Business Administration's Entrepreneur of the Year, Clay Clark, and the entrepreneur trapped inside an optometrist's body, Dr. Robert Zuttner. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses.
We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here.
Mr. Clyde started from the bottom, and now we're at the top, teaching you the systems to get what we got. Colton Dixon's on the hooks, I break down the books. Z's bringing some wisdom and the good looks. As the father of 5, that's why I'm alive. So if you see my wife and kids, please tell them hi. It's the CNC up on your radio, and now 3, 2, 1, here we go.
We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here. Now we here.
We want to talk a little bit about the how you get from where someone starts to where ultimately where you were able to get to with Disney. And I want to ask you this question. And many people believe that to be successful, you're either born with a certain skill set or you're just lucky, you're privileged, maybe you just... Can you maybe explain what in your mind someone has to do to become successful?
That certainly wasn't true for me, and it certainly wasn't true with many, many, many people I worked with over the years. I mean, even the president of Walt Disney World started at 17 working, checking out the cash registers and became the president many years later. The lady who became the head of marketing for Disney Parks and Resorts started out driving a boat when she was 17. So they had no idea they were going to be able to do that. But, you know, I think patience is certainly one thing. You don't get it overnight. I think you've got to get the experience under your belt. I always tell people, you know, one of the most important things you do is get good experience because nobody can ever take that away from you. And a lot of kids go and get a college degree, but they don't get any experience. And then they're kind of shocked when they get into the workplace and find out the demands. And so I think experience, you know, it may be more important or as important as your education, getting the right experience in the right places. And even when I meet with people, they say, you know, how can I have a successful career? What should I do? I said, you know, one thing I would suggest, the same as I did to my son, when you get out of college or you start to work, go to work for a good brand, if you can, and get the experience. If you want to be an entrepreneur, work for Procter & Gamble, or work for Marriott, or work for Disney, or work for IBM, or Apple, and then stay 5 years. They'll train you, and you'll learn a lot, and then you'll be 26, 27, and then you go do your thing. And if you don't like it, you can leave. If you like it, you can stay, and even if you leave, it'll be on your resume and it'll open doors. That experience pays off as you go down the reason I got hired by Disney because I worked for Marriott.
Right.
You know, the reason I got hired by Marriott is because I worked for Hilton. And it's an amazing
So
thing.
Ray Kroc, you know, the guy who helped grow McDonald's, he says that a lot of luck has to do with being in the right place at the right time, but doing something about it. And it sounds like you're saying go to work for a good brand.
Well, I get college kids that call me and say, Lee, can I meet with you for an hour to understand how to be successful like you are in your career? And I say, no, you don't need to spend an hour with me. Let me tell you while I got you on the phone. Be better than everybody else. And they say, what does that mean? I said, listen, you wake up in the morning, you got to have a better attitude than everybody. If 10 people are doing the job you do, you make sure you're the best one. You keep learning. You don't go home every night unless you get every question answered about what you don't know. And good attitude, work hard, and be better, and it'll be noticed. If there's 10 people in your business, you're all young guys, you be the best one.
Now, I have a lot of specifics I want to ask you here, kind of rapid fire, because these are some things that I think a lot of people just need to know. What time, when you were in your career, what time did you get up every day, and why?
Well, I can just tell you, at Disney, I got to the office 6:15.
Got to office at 6:15.
I did.
So what time did you
I
get
got
up?
up about 5, and I went to Starbucks and got a coffee, read the paper, got into my office at 6:15.
I'm going to ask you this because I want to maybe just really dwell on this for a second because I just think it's so important. There's a group of guys that I met at a speaking conference, and they have called themselves the High Five at 5 Club. And these guys would like text each other or call each other at 5 in the morning to make sure the other people were awake, because this was like their belief was that the top management was always up at 5 a.m. and this is what they did. Do you believe? I mean, do you think that was a big part of your success of getting up early enough to be prepared for the day? I mean, because you were at work at 6:15.
Well, that's why I did it. First of all, I've always gotten up early. When you grow up on a farm, you're used to getting up early.
Yeah.
And my whole life, I got up early. I still do. I'm retired. I can sleep till 9 o'clock, but I get up. And still the same time. And I did it because I'm very process oriented. I got to the office. I had a routine.
Yeah.
I get to the office 6:15, and 6:15 until 8 o'clock, no meetings, nothing. I plan my day in my day planner, what I'm going to work on today.
Yep.
I answer all my emails before most people wake up, personally, not a secretary, me. They get it back from Lee. I get myself organized, and then I go off to my first meeting at 8 o'clock, and then I work through the day, and I quit at 5 and go to the gym.
So the first 2 hours of the day, you get to work, you're making your to-do list, you're responding to your emails.
Going through my email and mail from the day before.
Anything else that happens those first 2 hours? I mean, that's pretty much what you're focused on.
Never met with people that early because I wanted to get my act together and get organized because, once the day starts, it's chaos.
Okay.
It's total chaos. And I needed to make sure that I knew the 3 or 4 things I must get done today. That's why I sit and think about them, get them in my planner. So no matter what happened during the day, I'm going to check those 3 off.
Now, here's the thing. I want to ask you this because I work with tons of business owners, and whether it's a doctor or an appliance store or any kind of business, a retail shop, the ones who are successful always see that they are very proactive. They take those first couple hours to lay out their plan.
Absolutely.
Could you maybe tell me the things that every business owner in your mind has to do in the first couple hours of the day to get ahead and not just be reacting? Because I totally can relate. Once you get there, I mean, the guns are blazing, things start happening, but the first couple hours.
Well, I think the thing you think about, people get a planner and they say, how do you decide what to put in your planner? Where it says to do today?
Yeah.
People, how do you decide? I said, first thing every day I thought about is yesterday.
Okay.
I thought through my whole day yesterday, who I met with, somebody I need, a manager I might have coached and counseled, a customer I need to call back. And I thought about every part of the day, and I put things in today to fix, because on the way home I thought about 2 more things I should have told that guy. When I got up this morning, I thought of a couple things from yesterday, because we're so busy running around all day, and I put those in there. Second, I always tell people, fix yesterday before you move forward, so it doesn't bite you.
Yeah.
Get back to people, to be on top of it, think. And Americans are not good at thinking about, they want to move forward instead of making sure everything was handled properly yesterday.
Now, you in your career, you were at Disney, where you were at the Marriott and then Disney, kind of pre-super digital world, and then now we're in the digital world. So you actually bridged the gap in your career. I mean, you were in business and I know today I see a lot of business owners that try to have a to-do list on their phone, then they have one on their calendar, then they have like their apps going and all that. I always tell people you have to have it all in one place. Can you walk me through what you did though? Did you have a paper day timer?
Well, I do, and it's still today. My Samsung Galaxy 3 is my best friend, and I use it. It's good for everything. I mean, really, as far as I'm concerned, it's good for most. My Samsung Galaxy 3 is my best friend, and I use it. It's good for everything. I mean, really, as far as I'm concerned, it's good for most. I don't find it as effective for the task list, and I still use a planner, and I use both of them.
Yeah.
And the only thing I use the planner for is to make my to-do list every day. And so you see, so I'm quietly thinking in the morning, And I'm going to tell you how I think about it. Not only yesterday do I put some things in there, but then I tell people, you've got to think about each responsibility you've signed up for in your life.
Yeah.
Like you. You need to wake up in the morning and think about your wife.
Yep.
You need to think about those 5 children. Do you need to do anything for them this week?
Yeah.
Sign them up for camp, get them a physical, go up and see their teachers, see how they're doing, whatever. There's always something. Get the college funds open, see your counselor.
One of my mentors, he had told me, he'd said, if you don't schedule it, it won't happen.
Absolutely.
And so my wife and I, this is terrible, but we were married, I think, like 5 years, and I don't recall us having gone on a date before I heard this advice. And I'm going, I'm a terrible person. How could I have not done that? Well, I'm just so busy with the business, hadn't thought about it. Well, now we schedule it. And pretty much every week, I mean, we're not perfect, but almost every week we have a date scheduled. There's scheduled hockey practice. There's places we have to go to.
Sure.
But those first 2 hours, so you're saying those first 2 hours, you always get there, you make your to-do list of what needs to be done. You plan out your day. You think about the day before, any problems you had. Anything else in that first couple hours you do? Emails?
I'd say each one listening to this today ought to think about the responsibility they've signed up for their life. We all have a different list. You're married, you have 5 kids, so there's some responsibility. Maybe you have aging parents you're going to have to deal with someday. Maybe it's 20 years away, but you need to be understanding what it costs, Medicare, Medicaid, what the places cost, how you're going to pay for it. Your own personal development. What course do you need to go learn more about finance or marketing or audio, visual? What do you need to learn so 5 years from now you're still relevant?
Yeah.
Are you keeping up? What else do you need to think about? Your health. Do you think your health's your responsibility? Do you schedule it? I mean, one theory, and I think it's the best one-liner, schedule your priorities. Put them in your calendar. Schedule the priorities in your life.
You're scheduling your faith, your finances,
Everything.
your family, your fitness.
Everything.
You're scheduling all the first couple hours.
I mean, I know every Tuesday and Friday I work out at 9:30 with my trainer. It's scheduled.
Thrive.
Now, let me ask this. Once the day started, so when you got to work, the first 2 hours you're scheduling, what time was the first time you saw another human?
Usually around 8.
About 8?
First meeting, 8:30, something like that.
And then, did you keep set appointments with your team, or were they just kind of random?
No, I had pretty much set appointments.
Okay.
But I did that based on what they thought we needed. So I had one lady who every couple of weeks was all we needed. She kept me well informed.
Yeah.
I had one guy who really needed that weekly meeting to kind of boost his confidence.
Yeah.
And then when you told him he's doing a good job, his performance soared. Another guy could but happy if he didn't see me at all, but I still saw him. So schedule time with people and to have a good what are you going to do during the time you're meeting with them, and do you have a clear agenda of what you're going to do?
How often did you read success or leadership books or study successful people in your career? I mean, how often would you do that?
I think, Frank, I was always reading some book on
Okay.
leadership or management, or there's so many. By
Yeah.
the way. And I did find that there's just a lot of rehashing.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of new stuff, actually. But somebody might say it in a different way. It's even what I'm doing today. It's not that I'm saying anything different to people.
Yeah.
It's how I tell the story. The stories. Storytelling is one of the best ways to learn. So I tell them a story about an obstacle I had in my life instead of saying, you need to learn to overcome obstacles. Well, that's a good sentence, but people need to know, okay, how do you do that?
I've met a lot of people that are struggling financially or struggling in their business. And then when I meet a lot of successful people, one big difference I've noticed is that a lot of successful people have committed to lifelong learning. Like they're never done learning. Where the people who struggle might have said, well, I just got my degree 5 years ago, so I no longer read. Or I'm so busy I don't have time to read. I don't have time to study. When did you fit in your time to read, Lee?
Well, I tell you, first of all, I think what you just said is true because they've been proven that people with a lot of curiosity are more successful, wanting to know more. And I love Google today because when I don't know the definition of a word or somebody says something, I just go fair and then I know. I love Google today because when I don't know the definition of a word or somebody says something, I just go fair and then I know. I mean, you don't have any excuse today for not learning. If you say I don't know and you heard that word, you didn't go look it up.
When did you find time to read?
Oh,
I mean, with
wow.
your schedule, you're busy. I mean, you had a lot of stuff. You had
Yeah.
40,000 employees at one
Sitting
point.
on airplanes, sitting at the airport or walking around the airport, having useless television.
Okay.
Even today I'm not reading so much because I'm walking. I get up and walk to get my 20,000 steps in a day. Starbucks, I read every morning the New York Times because it's in-depth coverage. It's not just this little blurb. It's telling you why this is happening in Syria, why this is happening in the White House, what the consequences of this new law are really going to be on 3 or 4 pages.
Yeah.
So that's why I like the New York Times. It's not like USA Today, which is like, I read it, but I don't really get the whole, why did this happen, how did it happen, who was involved.
Yeah, more in depth.
And sometimes, like the notes you sent me, I had those at Starbucks a couple of mornings, and that's where I read them. I'm sitting there for an hour. You got to kind of schedule. You got to fit things in. You don't read by accident. You got to plan to read. You don't exercise by accident. You got to plan it. You don't spend time effectively with your children and with your wife unless you plan it, because things will come up, and
You're scheduling your priorities.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Now this is huge though, because I feel like, I know in my companies, before I sold the DJ company, we were doing thousands of weddings a year, and there's always a mom with a customer service question, there's always an employee has a question, but I was very intense about taking the first 2 or 3 hours every morning of just planning my day, and I hadn't done that until I met a few mentors who had said, you need to do that. You've got to take the first 2 hours. What are you doing? You got to take those 2 hours and plan, or you're just going to be like this pinball machine of life reacting.
Well, good analogy is, would you just wake up one morning and say to your wife, let's go on vacation? And you'd pull out of the driveway and you got no plan. Where are you going?
Yeah.
Which way are you going? Are you going to have a hotel at the end of the day? Are there any plane tickets? Where are you going? When you get there, you're going to have a big mess if you don't plan it. And by the way, everybody knows how to plan their vacation. So we know every individual knows how to plan. They just don't realize the value of planning their retirement, planning their health, planning their relationships, planning their own personal knowledge, learning. I mean, if you plan it, I know what's the old saying, plan your day and work your plan. I mean, and even though you get a plan, I wake up in the morning. 9/11, I had a plan at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
On 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
At 8:45, the
Changed.
plan was totally over for months, and those things weren't important anymore, mainly, and I had to go. So there's times in the day when you got a plan, but something comes up, and you got to have enough judgment to move yourself to the right thing, and then come back to what's in there.
Final capstone thought I had is, I know when you run a business and you're running around, especially at Disney, you might run around and go, oh my gosh, we need to tackle that problem. Maybe not now, but maybe next month or next week.
Yeah.
Do you always keep an actual planner where you'd write down those problems as you see them, so you can come back to them later?
It's February now. If I want to do something in March, I'm writing them down over there. April, I have the books in my desk. May, I decide I want to start retraining all my employees in May. I write over and give myself a reminder to get working on this in May.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be today, but I don't want to lose that thought.
Yeah. So you have a thought, you write it down.
I put it in here.
Okay.
June's clear because I don't work in June.
Now, do you have a plan? Do you recommend every entrepreneur, every business owner has a planner? Would you recommend they have a tangible to write down those ideas?
This may eventually get better, but a lot of things happen to this. Batteries go down. People don't want you looking at it when you're in a meeting because people
think you're on the phone with you talking to yourself.
I think we're all going to have to get over that too, because young people are going to use their iPads, they're going to use these, and it's going to become the way they work. And I'm not saying you can't do it as effectively, but right now I don't think the system's strong enough in here.
In Proverbs, Solomon, talks about how one of the things we have to do is we have to write things on the tablets. We have to write down these visions. We can't just, and I think it doesn't matter whether it's a biblical reference or you hear it in business. Everybody I know who's successful writes down these ideas because they don't want to lose it. And it seems like a lot of unsuccessful people don't write down their ideas. And it seems like you, with a sense of urgency, catch those dreams and write them down.
I've seen that with Michael Eisner, little cards he carries. You're right. Bill Marriott. Eric, you see him writing all.
John Rockefeller had his red book. Sam Walton had his book.
Yeah, and when you write it down, the odds of you getting it done go up dramatically.
Mm-hmm.
It's just when you put it in, and then when you put it in here, it's even more because it's kind of a thing between you and your own.
Yeah.
I put it in here tomorrow or today to call Ginger to find out about a date. She wanted March 5th for me to give a speech. And I need to know that because somebody else wants those dates. So I will call her today sometime. Yeah. I will get to that call and I'll check it off. Call the security gate this morning and make sure they knew you guys were coming.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a little thing, but it's a problem if you can't get in. And so every day I put things in here. Here's one over here on the 14th. It's far away, but I have one thing I have to do. So you put it on the day you're most likely to get it done. And then when you open it that day, there it is.
Boom.
You got to get over this saying, I forgot. That's
Right.
like the weakest excuse in
I forgot.
history. I forgot.
And then final question I have on this line of kind of how you get from here to there, some of the brass tack stuff. I see a lot of employees, a lot of new people. They graduate from college. They come work with us. I'm excited. They're excited to have the job. I'm excited to hire them. And they say little things like, could you remind me to be there tomorrow? Could you remind me? Oh, I forgot to send that. I forgot to ship it. I forgot to. How did you process people that forgot? Talk to me how you would educate somebody to stop forgetting.
Well, first of all, I wrote a 32-page document on time management and how this system works.
Okay.
And I've been teaching it for 35 years. And I made sure people understood that when you work with me, you got to be organized and disciplined. And then I gave them that document. And then I always, when I'm meeting with somebody and I'm telling you something, you're not writing it down that I need you to do by Friday, I stop them and say, listen, I don't see you writing that down. And I don't want to be sitting here Friday, you telling me you forgot. And you need to get, and then I taught the system, and I gave everybody a day planner and taught them how to use it. Now, not everybody did, but
Is that
being
something
clear.
available? Is that something available for purchase? Can people buy that
Yeah.
32-page document?
Yeah, and I'll make it available. You
Okay.
can figure out how to do it. In
Yeah.
fact, I'm interested, and I'd be interested in working with you to figure out how to get it into a document that we could sell.
That'd be great, because I know that the brass. I just tell you, I see it all the time in businesses. I work with one business in town. It's a medical practice, and I noticed that a lot of people in the meeting, they'll sit there in the whole meeting and go, and I, you know, if it's my business, I tell everybody, bring a piece of paper, write it down. If you read Russell Simmons' life story, or you read the life story of Sam Walton, or of Rockefeller, or of Walt Disney, these are guys that got up early every morning excited about going to work, and they would work until the job was done. But I want to ask you, how many hours a week did you typically work during your career?
I would say in the early years, for Hilton, I worked probably, for the first 8 years, I would say I worked 60, 65 hours a week.
60 or 60?
Because it was a 6-day work week. When I went to Marriott, they wanted you to work 50 hours. They thought it was important people take some time off and get rested up to come back in, because you're right, dealing with customers all day long.
Yeah.
I mean, and so that was good, but we worked even more than that sometimes. But that was kind of the minimum. Then I came to Disney, and I basically worked from 6 in the morning till 5, 11 hours a day.
Yeah.
Not counting how much I thought about Disney at home and work I brought home and things I was working on.
You would plan. I guess the one thing I see a lot with of the employees who never get ahead is they'll say things like, "So am I going to get paid for this?" And it's like them planning at home. And the people who are successful, I know, 60 hours is pretty. That seems to be the average I find. They basically get up, they start working at 6. They're usually done about 5 or 6, or until the job's done. But it seems to me that average is about 60 or 70 hours a week that people are doing something related to their job. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do agree with that. And then sometimes during crisis, it's more. After 9/11, I was working day and night for months.
Is it possible to become successful in your mind working 40 hours a week? As a young
I think
person
it's
starting
a pretty
out?
high risk strategy.
Okay.
I don't know how you could be on top of everything and really, but I think also that you've got to actually schedule that exercise and keeping fit, because at the end of the day, if you're a leader, you're stressed. I mean, you got to have high energy. People
Yeah.
are watching you. You got to keep yourself cool, calm, and collected. And when you feel better, you do better, and you think more clearly. You listen better.
Yeah.
You pay attention better. You don't overreact when you're feeling fit.
Yeah.
I know that. There's nothing like feeling fit.
Mm-hmm.
Waking up in the morning feeling good instead of waking up in the morning feeling bad. You know, that's...
Now, and then kind of tying into this, how did you balance the demands of faith, family, and finances during your career? Because you got faith, you got family, you got finances. All three are important. How did you try to, I know it's not perfect, but how did you try to keep those in balance? So let's go to one specific time. You have the hurricane. Okay, so the hurricane is pounding down on Disney, and you're dealing with that. How do you balance faith, family, finances, all that together? How do you do that?
I think you got to understand that life can go along, everything's going fine, and you can be doing everything, exercising, spending time with your family, doing everything. Then things happen in life. And you've got to be, and by the way, I haven't be married to a saint. That's part of it, frankly. She knows when I have to go into the bunker. I mean, she's well aware that when you're in a leadership job, you go. Her dad was an admiral in the Navy. You go in the bunker, and you don't come out until the battle's over. And sometimes you're away. Like he went away to war for 4 years, and his family did just fine. And there's times you've got to just you got something that's more important. You got to go do it. And if you're hopefully you have people around you that understand that, and that's why it's probably important to have the right relationships with your family. And then there's a time when it loosens up and you get back to normal, and then you schedule that time with your children, and you schedule that time with whatever part of your life is important to you. I mean, I can tell you, after 9/11, I didn't exercise for months because we were working every day, every single day. And by the way, I was so exhausted from working, I probably needed to exercise more then to get the energy, but I couldn't. And so I think you got to realize life goes like this. Everything's fine. You're just doing all you're supposed to be doing, and then boom, and you got to go in the bunker, and you got to stay in there, and you got to do everything you can. Then it kind of slowly comes out again. Then you have some highs too, where everything's going perfect, and then one day it goes off the cliff. Like my wife getting sick, our life was perfect, went off the cliff for 18 months. It was worse, and it happens like that.
Yeah.
And really, part of an attitude. Are you willing to know that it's not the same every day? You're going to see it with your children. You're going to have teenage kids, and they're the perfect parents and perfect family, and your son's going to do something when he's 15. At 1 o'clock in the morning,
I'm rebuking this, but
you're going to get the call, and you're going to not stay in bed. You're going to go deal with it. Or there's an accident, and you've got to take care of somebody, or things happen, and the leaders step up. The leaders get out of bed. The leaders know now it's going to be different for the next 3 months, 6 months, a year.
Yeah.
And then you slowly try to fit it back in.
But you don't. I mean, when you don't. When bad things like that happen, and you felt like giving up, every successful person I've ever met, they just keep going. And I feel like a lot of people that get stuck and never achieve, they basically, whenever that something bad happens, they say, and I think this is one of the weakest statements ever, but it'll say, well, maybe it's just not meant to be because they ran into some adversity. How do you get to that point where you just keep going? It's the hurricane's going on. A lot of leaders could have just mentally had a meltdown there, but how do you
I think it's attitude, some people come to an obstacle in the road and turn around and go back. Others find a little way to go around. So it turns out really it wasn't an obstacle, it was just a detour. And I think about that a lot. I may be on a bumpy road after I go around this barrier, but we'll get back on the highway. And I think if you don't keep going, you definitely won't get where you're going. I mean, if you just turn around all the time and give up. And then I've seen just a lot of people who did well, People just kept going. We have a lot of good role models in the world. Just think of all the people and I think of Mandela and Martin Luther King and people who did well. And I have my brother's an orthopedic surgeon, and I mean, how did we do this? We were the first two to ever do anything in our lives. And my grandmother, who was ninth grade dropout and ended up, she died. She had $100,000 in the bank. We were shocked.
Man, grandma.
She saved her money. She worked. She was an elevator operator. She worked at Phillips Petroleum.
When did she pass away?
In 1990.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And so I've seen people who just keep going, and attitude will push you through.
Do you have a life mantra? Like some sort of phrase that you say a lot, or that you kind of have said?
One I say a lot is, it's never too late to get better.
Okay, never too late to get better.
And never too late to get healthier. It's never too late to repair a relationship. It's never too late to get smarter. It's never too late to learn something. It's never too late to learn technology.
Okay.
It's not about age. It's people say, "Oh, I can't text. I can't use technology. I don't understand it." Well, I know 80-year-old people got in there and learned it.
Now, let me. Years ago, I had an opportunity to work with the founder of Sky Vodka, Maurice Canbar, and we were helping to market his properties in downtown Tulsa.
Yeah.
And here's this guy. I want to say he was late 70s. I'm not really sure how old he was, but late 70s, and he just knew all the phone apps. He knew all the technology. He was really. You use a Galaxy phone there. So you're saying that, hey, this whole idea of, well, I'm 40 and so I just can't use computers, or I'm 50, I just can't use YouTube or whatever. You're saying just no matter what age you are, just you gotta quit thinking like that.
It's a pretty absurd comment.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not like you have to get a PhD. You got to go, and I go to class. I go to Verizon. They have classes, and I write down a list of things in my day planner that I don't know how to do, and I go there and they teach you for an hour. They show you how to do it. It's free. It doesn't cost anything.
See, you're ongoing learning. It's never too late to. That's a big mantra for you.
I can't be talking about leadership and management and keeping up, because that's part of the things I write about, and then not be doing it. That's the problem. You got to walk the talk. And do I love when I get a new phone, having to learn it all over again? I hate it.
Yeah.
And I'll be one of those that takes me a little longer to get to the next phone, because I just but I know a month after I've got it, man, all the things I can do now, how great it is. And
let me ask you this here, a capstone thought here. I realize that you're very humble, and you've obviously owned a lot of your mistakes. You're not saying you're perfect, but if you had to say there's one thing that Lee Cockerell, there's one thing that you've done that's allowed you to become successful, what's that one thing?
Yeah, persistence. That's all. Persistence. I wear people down till I get what I want.
The wear down method.
I'll come back a year later if they say no, and I'll get in one way. If they leave the window open, I'll come in that way. I'll come in the back door. I'll wait till they leave, go back and talk to the new person.
Yeah.
I have systems for keeping in touch with people so they never ever forget me. After every speech, whoever hired me for that speech, the CEO, or I have a distribution. I send out a leadership thought 3, 4, 5 times a week. It's blind copied, so nobody knows who's all getting it.
Yeah.
But they see my name 3 or 4 times a week.
That's awesome.
On my website. And some companies hire me back 3, 4, and 5 times because they remember, Lee, get a hold of Lee Cockerell. He spoke to us last year, and I just got a note from him. They forwarded it to their HR department.
You're kind of liking this whole small business speaking.
This is the best part of my career right
Really?
now. I meet so many great people, companies I didn't even know existed. I talked to Bath Fitter the other day. They redo bathrooms, franchises around the country, 275 franchises. It's a giant business. I didn't even know about it.
Wow.
Spending time with the eBay people, they're so smart. Remax Realtors, 3,000 of them. I mean, they're just like crazed about how they sell houses.
What I like about you, and I think that's exciting, there's a lot of things I like about you, but one thing I really think is exciting is that here you spent your whole career in catering, customer service, the hotel restaurant management business. You run Disney World, and then it's like, I'm going to go into another career. And you just keep changing careers, and it's the same principles being applied to different careers. You've been able to be successful in all those. I think that's exciting.
People are pretty impressed that I wrote 2 books. When I probably don't even know where the commas go.
Yeah.
I wasn't great in English.
Yeah.
But I hired somebody to put the commas in the right place.
Just like you hired someone at Disney to help you with some technology, or hired somebody to...
I wrote the book, and then I hired a guy to make it sound better.
Yeah, that's great.
and that's it. So, okay. Somebody said, how do you write a book? I said, basically one day at a time, and then you get finished. That's what Maya Angelou said. They said, Mia, how do you write books? She said, well, I rent a hotel room. I go there at 5 o'clock every morning, or I write till about noon. Nobody can call me. They don't know where I am. In about 3 months, you got a book.
That's
you
awesome.
Go every morning.
It's awesome.
And I locked myself in a hotel room with no phones ringing, nobody bothered me. And if you do something every day, I tell people today, I'm an expert in time management. Literally. And people say, well, can you say this? Because I said so. That's why. And I know more about it than you do. A lot more. And that's so you can become a self-proclaimed expert in life. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah, I agree. No one appoints you to success usually. You have to appoint yourself.
JT, do you know what time it is?
4:10.
It's Tebow time in Tulsa, Jerusalem, baby. Tim Tebow is coming to Tulsa, Oklahoma. Whoa. During the month of Christmas, December 5th and 6th, 2024, Tim Tebow is coming to Tulsa, Oklahoma in the 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show Business Growth Workshop. Yes, folks, put it in your calendar. This December, the month of Christmas, December 5th and 6th, Tim Tebow is coming to Tulsa, Oklahoma in the Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business growth workshop. Whoa. We've been doing business conferences here since 2005. I've been hosting business conferences since 2005. What year were you born?
1995.
Dude, I've been hosting business conferences since you were 10 years old. And a lot of people, have followed Tim Tebow's football career on the field and off the field. And off the field, the guy's been just as successful as he has been on the field. Now, the big question is, JT, how does he do it?
Well, they're going to have to come and find out because I don't know.
Well, I'm just saying, Tim Tebow's going to teach us how he organizes his day, how he organizes his life, how he's proactive with his faith, his family, his finances. He's going to walk us through his mindset that he brings into the gym, into business. It is going to be a blasty blast in Tulsa, Jerusalem. Folks, I'm telling you, if you want to learn branding, you want to learn marketing, you want to learn search engine optimization, you want to learn social media marketing, that's what we teach at the Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive workshop. If you want to learn accounting, you want to learn sales systems, you want to learn how to build a linear workflow, you want to learn how to franchise your business, that is what we teach at the 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show business workshop. Over the years, we've had the opportunity to feature Michael Levine, the PR consultant of choice for Nike, for Prince, for Michael Jackson. We've had the top PR consultant in the history of the planet has spoken at the Thrivetime Show workshops. We've had Jill Donovan, the founder of RusticCuff.com, a company that creates apparel worn by celebrities all throughout the world. Jill Donovan, the founder of RusticCuff.com, has spoken at the 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show business workshops. We have had the man who's responsible for turning around Harley Davidson, a man by the name of Ken Schmidt. He has spoken at the Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business workshops. Folks, I'm telling you, these events are going to teach you what you need to know to start and grow a successful business. And the way we price the events, the way we do these events, is you can pay $250 for a ticket or whatever price that you can afford. What? Yes, we've designed these events to be affordable for you, and we want to see you live and in person at the 2-day interactive December 5th and 6th Thrivetime Show Business Workshop. Everything that you need to succeed will be taught at the 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show Business Workshop, December 5th and 6th in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And the way we do these events is we teach for 30 minutes, and then we open it up for a question and answer session so that wonderful people like you can have your questions answered. Yes, we teach for 30 minutes, and then we open it up for a 15-minute question and answer session. It's interactive. It's 2 days. It's in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We've been doing these events since 2005, and I'm telling you, folks, it's going to blow your mind. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business workshop is America's highest rated and most reviewed business workshop. See the thousands of video testimonials from real people just like you who've been able to build multi-million-dollar companies. Watch those testimonials today at thrivetimeshow.com. Simply by clicking on the testimonials button right there at thrivetimeshow.com, you're going to see thousands of people just like you who've been able to go from just surviving to thriving. Whoa. Each and every day, we're going to add more and more speakers to this all-star lineup, but I encourage everybody out there today, get those tickets today. Go to thrivetimeshow.com. Again, that's thrivetimeshow.com. And some people might be saying, well, how do I do it? What do I do? How does it work? You just go to thrivetimeshow.com. Let's go there now. We're feeling the flow. We're going to thrivetimeshow.com. Again, you just go to thrivetimeshow.com. You click on the business conferences button, and you click on the request tickets button right there. The way I do our conferences is we tell people it's $250 to get a ticket.
Yep.
Or whatever price that you can afford. And the reason why I do that is I grew up without money. JT, you're in the process of building a super successful company.
Yep.
You start out with $1 million in the bank account?
No, I did not. Nope, did not get any loans, nothing like that. Did not get an inheritance from parents or anything like that. I had to work for it, and I'm super grateful. I came to a business conference. That's actually how I met you, met Peter Taunton. I met all these people.
So if you're out there today and you want to come to our workshop, again, you just got to go to thrivetimeshow.com. You might say, well, who's speaking? We already covered that. You might say, where's it going to be? It's going to be in Tulsa, Jerusalem, Oklahoma. And someone says, Tulsa, Jerusalem. I'm really trying to rebrand Tulsa as Tulsa, Jerusalem, sort of like the Jerusalem of America. But if you type in Thrivetime Show and Jinx, you can get a sneak peek or a look at our office facility. This is what it looks like. This is where you're headed. It's going to be a blasty blast. You can look inside, see the facility. We're going to have hundreds of entrepreneurs here. It is going to be packed. Now, for this particular event, folks, the seating is always limited because my facility isn't a limitless convention center. You're coming to my actual home office, and so it's going to be packed. You're going to come. Who? You? I'm talking to you. You can just get your tickets right now at thrivetimeshow.com. And again, you can name your price. We tell people it's $250 or whatever price you can afford. And we do have some select VIP tickets, which gives you an access to meet some of the speakers and those sorts of things. And those tickets are $500. It's a 2-day interactive business workshop, over 20 hours of business training. We're going to give you a copy of my newest book, The Millionaire's Guide to Becoming Sustainably Rich. You're going to leave with a workbook. You're going to leave with everything you need to know to start and grow a super successful company. It's practical, it's actionable, and it's Tebow time right here in Tulsa, Jerusalem. Get those tickets today at thrivetimeshow.com. Again, that's thrivetimeshow.com.
Hello, I'm Michael Levine, and I'm talking to you right now from the center of Hollywood, California, where I have represented over the last 35 years 58 Academy Award winners, 34 Grammy Award winners, 43 New York Times bestsellers. I've represented a lot of major stars, and I've worked with a lot of major companies. And I think I've learned a few things about what makes them work and what makes them not work. Now, why would a man living in Hollywood, California, in the beautiful sunny weather of LA, come to Tulsa? Because last year I did it, and it was damn exciting. Clay Clark has put together an exceptional presentation, really life-changing, and I'm looking forward to seeing you then. I'm Michael Levine. I'll see you in Tulsa.
Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business workshops are the world's highest rated and most reviewed business workshops because we teach you what you need to know to grow.
You can learn the proven 13-point business systems that Dr. Zellner and I have used over and over to start and grow successful companies. I mean, we get into the specific steps on what you need to do to optimize your website. We're going to teach you how to fix your conversion rate. We're going to teach you how to do a social media marketing campaign that works. How do you raise capital? How do you get a small business loan? We teach you everything you need to know here during a 2-day, 15-hour workshop. It's all here for you. You work every day in your business, but for 2 days you can escape and work on your business and build these proven systems so now you can have a successful company that will produce both the time freedom and the financial freedom that you deserve. You're going to leave energized, motivated, but you're also going to leave empowered. The reason why I've built these workshops is because as an entrepreneur, I always wish that I had this. And because there wasn't anything like this, I would go to these motivational seminars, no money down, real estate, Ponzi scheme, get motivated seminars, and they would never teach me anything. It was like you went there and you paid for the big chocolate Easter bunny, but inside of it, it was a hollow nothingness. And I wanted the knowledge, and they're like, oh, but we'll teach you the knowledge after our next workshop. And the great thing is we have nothing to upsell. At every workshop, we teach you what you need to know. There's no one in the back of the room trying to sell you some next big get-rich-quick, walk-on-hot coals product. It's literally, we teach you the brass tacks, the specific stuff that you need to know to learn how to start and grow a business. And I encourage you to not believe what I'm saying, and I want you to Google the Z66 auto auction. I want you to Google elephant in the room. Look at Robert Zellner and Associates. Look them up and say, are they successful because they're geniuses, or are they successful because they have a proven system? When you do that research, you will discover that the same systems that we use in our own business can be used in your business. Come to Tulsa, book a ticket, and I guarantee you it's going to be the best business workshop ever, and we'll even give you your money back if you don't love it. We've built this facility for you, and we're excited to see you.
And now you may be thinking, what does it actually cost to attend an in-person 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show business workshop? Well, good news. The tickets are $250 or whatever price that you can afford. What? Yes, they're $250 or whatever price you can afford. I grew up without money, and I know what it's like to live without money. So if you're out there today and you want to attend our in-person 2-day interactive business workshop, all you got to do is go to thrivetimeshow.com to request those tickets. And if you can't afford $250, we have scholarship pricing available to make it affordable for you.
I learned at the Academy in Kings Point in New York. Acta non verba. Watch what a person does, not what they say.
Whoa. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Robert Kiyosaki, the Rich Dad Radio Show. Today I'm broadcasting from Phoenix, Arizona, not Scottsdale, Arizona. They're close, but they're completely different worlds. And we have a special guest today. Definition of intelligence is if you agree with me, you're intelligent. And so this gentleman is very intelligent. I've done his show before also, but very seldom do you find somebody who lines up on all counts. And it's a Mr. Clay Clark. He's a friend of a good friend, Eric Trump. But we're also talking about money, bricks, and how screwed up the world can get in a few and a half hour. So Clay Clark is a very intelligent man, and there's so many ways we could take this thing. But I thought, since you and Eric are close, Trump, what you're saying about what Trump can't, what Donald, who's my age, and I can say or cannot say.
Well, first of all, I have to honor you, sir. I want to show you what I did to one of your books here. There's a guy by the name of Jeremy Thorne, who was my boss at the time. I was 19 years old, working at Faith Highway. I had a job at Applebee's, Target, and DirecTV. And he said, "Have you read this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad?" And I said, "No." And my father, may he rest in peace, he didn't know these financial principles. So I started reading all of your books and really devouring your books. And I went from being an employee to self-employed, to the business owner, to the investor. And I owe a lot of that to you. And I just wanted to take a moment to tell you, thank you so much for allowing me to achieve success. And then I'll tell you all about Eric Trump. But I just want to tell you, thank you, sir, for changing my life.
But not only that, Clay, thank you, but you become an influencer. More than anything else, you've evolved into an influencer where your word has more and more power. So that's why I congratulate you on becoming. Because as you know, there's a lot of fake influencers out there too, or bad influencers.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm glad you and I agree so much, and thanks for reading my books.
Yeah.
That's the greatest thrill for me today. Not a thrill, but recognition is when people, young men especially, come up and say, "I read your book, changed my life. I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this."
I learned at the Academy, Kings Point in New York, acta non verba. Watch what a person does, not what they say. Whoa.